Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Backbenchers podcast, the greatest podcast that's purely about Canberra Survivor. My name is Marcus, and I'll be hosting today's episode. We're doing part two of the cast analysis. We're breaking it down with my boy Rithy over here and Jordo. Oh, Richie's disappeared here. We're going to bring...
Yeah,
He's
Rithy.
lagging. He's
What's
lagging. But
going
hey,
on?
Jordo, how are you going, Jordo?
I'm all right, thanks. Happy Monday.
Yeah, it's a good Monday. Good day to start. Are you excited? Excited to analyse?
I
Get
am.
these characters going?
Although I didn't find them quite interesting at first.
Wow, that's a hot take.
I was like, I don't know, maybe I was just tired. So I went back and watched again today, and then I did find some interesting things. So
I'm excited to hear it. Rithy, how are we? Welcome to the podcast. How are you feeling and excited to get into it? Got a bit of delay, guys.
Absolutely. My first foray into this, so
Well, it's great to hear. It's good to have new people involved in this. I'm obviously new to it as well. We're all kind of learning as we go. But yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And first off, we actually got an exclusive interview with two very attractive, very smart, very cool people. It's Dan and Liv, the hosts of Canberra Survivor. How have we managed to get this? Who has the connections for this? We're going to bring them in right now, guys.
it costs
Let's
a lot of
welcome
money
in
to get guys in.
Dan and Liv. How are we going, guys?
Look at them. Aren't they gorgeous?
I'm fantastic, and I'm waiting for my appearance fee from you, Marcus. So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, look, pay's coming a bit late right now. But yeah, guys, how are we feeling? Obviously, the season's is right around the corner. Obviously, a lot of work and effort's gone into it. How are we feeling in general, and where's our heads at going into it?
Excited?
My head is excited, but also a little stressed. It's always a little bit of pressure when you first start a season, I think, and just how it's going to be received, especially since I am editing it. So hopefully people enjoy the season. From my perspective, the season is great, and the players did so amazing. So yeah, I'm also excited.
Yeah, awesome. I think Dan and I definitely have different experiences because poor Dan does all of the editing, and he does such a freaking amazing job. Like, I think it's just unbelievable what he does. And so I think I'm just excited for him that it's finally going to come out, and I know people are going to love it. And I know everyone's going to be so proud of Dan. So, and all of the players. It is a really fun season, and I can't wait for everyone to see it and chat about it.
Yeah, 100%. I think coming from another LRG editor, I can definitely understand Dan's pain of how much of a process it is. So we're very appreciative for Dan. We're going to open the floor up to some questions. If anyone in the comments have any questions for the guys, feel free to whack them in. But if Jordo or Richie have any questions in particular, we'll get started on the Q&A.
Well, Liv, you actually said it's going to be an exciting season. I thought season 2 was amazing and dramatic. Is it going to be similar to that, do you think?
Have I frozen, or can you see me?
You've frozen a bit, but we can still hear you.
Okay, fantastic. I'll just keep talking.
Just keep talking.
Yeah. Thanks, Jordan. Yeah. Look, I think season 2 was quite dramatic. There was, it was sort of a little bit dark and a bit sort of, there was a lot of twists and turns. I think season 3, we tried to, and Dan can probably talk to this, but tried to keep it a little bit more of a lighter sort of theme, and to kind of go back to, I guess, sort of old school Survivor, I guess. I don't know how you would say it, but sort of classic Survivor. And there's still obviously some twists and things, but I think tried to keep it a little bit lighter than season 2 and have a bit of fun with it. So cool. Hopefully that comes across.
Can't wait.
Rithy, if you want to go with the next question, go nuts, my man.
Really might be frozen.
I think when he's just starstruck, he doesn't know what to say. He's on the screen, he's just like gone quiet.
I think it's coming through.
Can hear you.
But I know season 2 had the ultimate sacrifice as a twist in terms of twists.
So I think what Rithy's asking there is, like, is there any twists based on the theme of the season? That's what I got from that.
I think so, yeah.
I think that is the question, yeah.
So yeah, like just to back up on what Liv said, it is more of an old school feeling season, but there are some new school elements to the season too, and you'll see some of that in the first episode. So we definitely have some twists based around Canberra versus the world, and sort of asking the question, how much does patriotism factor into the season? There's 8 people from one location being Canberra, and then another tribe of 8 people being from all over. How does that factor into the season? Will people feel patriotism to their city and to their tribe? And yeah, there are definitely some twists that relate to that question and to that theme. So you have to watch and find out.
I like it. I like it. So my question is pretty straightforward. Is there have you guys had a copyright on this season idea? Because you've announced it now, and straight away Australia Survivor announces their version. Are you fuming? Are you phoning them up saying, "Hey, I know you guys can't inspire what we're doing, but you're stealing from us"? Are you talking straight to JP, giving him ideas? What's the deal with that?
I couldn't believe that. What's the go, Dan?
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, look, I just would like to reiterate that we filmed this in November 2022, so this has been in the works for a while. So
who was like lingering in the bushes at Blue Range Hut?
I know, JLP just lingering in the bushes over there. And I've got to say, there have been a lot of seasons of versus the world in Drag Race. So, I mean, it may not be a totally original idea on our parts, but we won't talk about that too much.
Will there be any drag racing in there, Dan?
Sorry?
Will there be any drag racing in season 3?
Well, you'll have to watch and find out, Jordan. Maybe, Liv or Dan's alter ego drag persona will come out during the season. I don't know. We'll see.
Very good.
We got a first question, and we're just going to whack up. Sorry, Rithy, you're getting a bit blocked there. Any preseason faves, Dan and Olivia, from Aston?
I cannot pull any favorites out of the cast. Everybody. I'm not. I've got no favorites. Fantastic cast.
Wow.
Everyone was. I loved everyone. I loved watching everyone play. No favorites from me. Do you, Dan?
Yeah, this is one question I don't like to sit on the fence too much, but this is one question I will sit on the fence on.
Wow, political answers.
Love the cast top to bottom. There's definitely a few people that I think, gosh, they could really be on Australian Survivor and not look out of place at all. Just really castable people on the season. But everyone definitely brought something in their own right. Some really good narrators, some really strong personalities, some really good game players. Everyone has a story in their own right. And yeah, it's a great cast. So I'll sit on the fence on that one for sure.
Dan, yeah, sorry. Mars already taken the words right out of my mouth. How about you, Dan? Any favorites? Anyone you're in love with?
Definitely. I am in love with John Otter. He has stolen my heart, and I'll never be the same after meeting him, that's for sure.
Well, I'm excited.
The Otters really just make you fall in love with him on the season.
Any more questions, guys? We've lost Rithy here for a little bit, but Jordan, any questions particularly you want to hit them at? Go hard. I want some hard.
You know what I noticed? A lot of them are very smart, and they've got all these smart jobs. So do you reckon that's going to help them in their season? Like, do you reckon any of them that helped them through the season, or did it hinder them because there was a lot more like physical challenges? Maybe that can be too. Whoever wants to answer.
Yeah, I was waiting for Liv to jump in. I will say. Speaking of someone particularly, Anthea definitely was someone that I was watching out for because she is. Am I still here? Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm just in the corner.
You're in. Sorry, we've lost Rithy, unfortunately, guys.
Yeah. I thought you lost me too there for a second. Yeah, Andy was one I was really watching out
Sorry,
for that.
guys. Trying to work this out. Let's do this one. There we go. Boom.
There we go.
Much better. Anthea is a researcher, very analytical person, very, very self-aware, and it was really interesting to see, even in the first episode, how she took that really, really bright brain of hers and applied it to the season. No spoilers on how Anthea does, but even in that first episode, you'll really see some interesting things from her and putting that into practice. That really smart brain that she has.
Yeah, cool.
Dan, in regards to something that I find super fascinating about LRGs is kind of the progression, right? Your first season, you kind of just thrown into the deep end as hosts and organizers, and as it goes on, you find your feet more and more. Is the momentum, is that how you feel like it's been? Is it's kind of, as the seasons have gone, they've kind of been easier or have been harder, have things gotten bigger? Like, how was this season to produce? And I know you're probably proud, but let's talk about that. Are you proud of the season you've produced and overall, just your thoughts on it?
Yeah, Liv, I'll let you feel that one first.
I mean, I think things progress in such a good way. We've had more and more people involved. Things have gotten bigger. Like, they felt to me anyway, like they've kind of gotten bigger and bigger and bigger as the seasons have rolled on, which has been amazing. And I think, there's so much, I guess there's so much help now in terms of getting people together, in terms of allocating jobs and things like that to actually put a season together, and to, help with considering, what sort of challenges you want to do, how you want to incorporate the themes into the challenges. Challenges kind of getting more and more elaborate as the seasons have gone on as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think as the seasons have gone on, certainly I think things have just continued to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think the help from the community also just is, is fantastic. Everybody's like, there's so many more people involved, and so I think things have progressed, and I think the seasons just get better and better as we go on.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we're picking up a lot of people with different skill sets too, and skill sets that Liv and I might not particularly have. And I'm more than happy to delegate to people that have better skills in some areas than what I do. And just speaking specifically of the challenges, Malcolm from season 2 has really helped elevate the challenges and make them a lot better than what I could do in season 1 and I could do in season 2, because that's not my wheelhouse. But he's really elevated the challenges from there onwards. Yeah.
Yes, could not agree more. Shout out Mal, he's a legend. We love your mouths.
He is a legend.
A good question here from Pauline. Liv and Dan, what 3 words would you use to describe this season? Pauline.
Oh my God.
Past member. I want to hear this.
Three words is hard. I always call season 3 the logical season. So I'm going to say logical. A lot of the decisions made, but really logical to me, you'll see a lot of decisions that make a lot of game sense. It's very smart, it's very strategic, it's very logical. So I'll go with those 3 ones. There's definitely decisions that maybe don't make sense and you'll be scratching ahead at some things, but all in all, as far as the season of Survivor goes, really, really smart, logical, strategic gameplay for sure.
I like that.
How many words was that?
I mean, I just kept talking. Sorry.
I'll give you a count later.
I mean, yeah, strategic, logical.
I just use mine. It's fine.
Yeah, what's another good word? I think.
Pull out the thesaurus.
Sorry. Yeah.
So pull out the thesaurus.
Synonyms for
strategic.
Let's there's a question here that I like from Brendan Pratt. What were the weather conditions like this season? Oh, we're back.
Hey, ready?
Classic Survivor Canberra.
But yeah, weather conditions, it was similar to season 1 and season 2.
It was pretty classic. Yeah, it was
pretty classic. Pretty classic. Yeah.
It started okay, and then it just got hairy towards. I think it was towards the end of. It started okay on day one, and then I think it was because at the end of day one. When did it start really coming down?
It's actually day two. Day one was pretty fine.
Pretty good.
What I will say about the weather is that the bad weather, we got rain, we got hail, but it really happened at the perfect time. And you'll see that play out. It's really, really cinematic, and it happened at a great time. And luckily, the really, really bad weather wasn't as sustained as season 1 and season 2. But there definitely was rain and hail on a classic Survivor Canberra season for sure.
So we will be able to hear what they're saying this time, Dan. There was a lot of rain in season 2. I had to really listen carefully.
Yep. So someone subtitled that whole season for you, Jordan. So you're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I also hate reading, so I like to listen.
That's true. It's true. I'll do better next time.
I think the audio is better in season 3.
Yeah, it definitely helps so you don't get a half.
Jordan already? Any other questions?
I think the main question is, are there croissants in this season, Liv?
Very important.
The main question.
I cannot confirm nor deny. You will have to watch, Jordan.
Well,
you have to
insider.
watch. We
Come on, give us the gospel.
Spoiling things
I do
about
like
the
to watch,
upcoming
so.
season.
Can't wait.
Well, I missed your answers to some of the previous questions, so I don't know what I've missed, but are there going to be any epic challenges in this one? Like, there's quite a few people that have gone, I'm going to be a challenge beast, or at least they give those insights. Are we going to see some of that in this season?
Yes, they're definitely challenge beasts. For sure. Will they reach the heights of the infamous Nick Otter? I don't know, but again, you'll have to find out. And
so, which one was Nick again? I can't remember Nick. Can't really remember that guy.
Might have been the Mexican one with the long brown hair.
Oh, yeah. Right. All right, here we go. Here's another comment that I'm definitely putting up. Nick Otter, overrated from the Queen herself.
Yeah. We'll see if anyone dethrones Nick as the challenge beast in Survivor Canberra. We'll find out.
Yeah, but I think, as we said before, like, it's been fun to watch things like the challenges evolve as the seasons have gone on, and sort of what we've been able to do. So you'll have to watch the season, but there are some great challenges, and
Wow, they're really teasing us, guys. They're really teasing us. The final question I'll kind of ask is, talk to me about the cast, because obviously it's Canberra versus the world. Was that always kind of the mindset? Was that based off kind of the auditions that you kind of got in? What was the process of forming the cast that you guys ended up going with?
Yeah, we definitely had that idea in mind. It was originally slated to be Canberra versus Australia, and we wanted to do a whole tribe of Canberrans because we only had, I think, 4 or 5 Canberrans in season 2, and we really wanted to rally more Canberrans around getting involved because, it's filmed in Canberra. So, yeah, we originally slated to be Canberra versus Australia. And then we could not cast Bethany, who was from New Zealand, obviously. And then that turned it into Canberra versus the world. So, yeah, we obviously have 8 great Canberrans that are involved and that are still involved in the community now, which, is the great thing about casting Canberrans, because they're more likely to come back and help because they're so close. But also some great people from elsewhere that also have become great community members. Even Bethany, for example, came back and crewed season 4. So
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is that a leak? Whoa. Is that season 4?
I mean, look, I
didn't know about this.
Season 4. But yes, some great community members on both sides. But that was really the idea, to get more Canberrans involved, for sure.
And it was also, Dan, coming towards the end of sort of dreary COVID times, and it was, about also kind of the world, it was a good theme at a good time with the world kind of opening back up a little bit. And, after a pretty shitty couple of years, really, it was good to kind of, have this kind of the world opening back up into the theme sort of thing.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. I mean, Bethany was actually meant to play season 2, and she couldn't come to season 2 because of the COVID lockdown. So that was sort of part of it, like people being able to come to Canberra, people being able to travel elsewhere. And in all of the Meet the Cast, we asked people where they would like to go in the world, because it was really just a celebration of COVID ending and making things really feel like a celebration more than anything.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's something I'll always commend you guys on is when the one word I think of when I think of Canberra Survivor is community. It's a very community focused project, and I feel like you guys definitely represent that. And I'm really excited. I think it's a really good cast. As always, I've always trusted you guys to cast a really strong season. I know we're all excited to discuss it. We got 6 more to discuss. So thank you so much for joining us. Anything else you want to say whilst you have these? This massive platform that you're very privileged to be on.
Yes, well, thank you to you guys and to all the people podcasting this season, because I don't think you're getting paid for this. I'm not paying you personally. So great job for doing this for free, hopefully. And I'm really excited for this season and this cast. I think they play really hard. There's a lot of fun, a lot of drama, some villains, some heroes, great personalities, great gameplay as well. So it's really exciting, and I can't wait for it to kick off and get going.
Yep, echoing all of that, Dan. Thank you so much for doing the podcast. I look forward to listening to it as it all unfolds and unravels. And yeah, such a fun season, an amazing cast, and some hilarious moments, some awesome strategic moments, and
really funny moments. Yeah.
Funny, like I cannot wait, and I'm excited for the cast as well, for it all to come out and for them to enjoy seeing themselves playing the greatest game.
And I would also like to say, because I just saw Derek's question, we are not supporting our favorite
Sorry,
jobs necessarily. There
we go. I'm back. But yes, thank you for that, guys. We're super excited that you guys, had cleared your very busy schedule. I know probably Dan's in the thick of it editing the next season because his life never ends. It's just a revolving door of editing confessionals. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for coming on board. We'll probably have you guys on here and there throughout the season to get your opinions. And we thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
For having us. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. We're back. The 3 amigos. Who is ready to get into this cast analysis? We got Rithy here. He seems like he's not lagging. I'm super happy about that. This is awesome. Perfect timing. So firstly, what's everyone's thoughts on the overall 6 videos? I know obviously Jordo initially wasn't the most impressed. Rithy, what was your opinion on the 6 that we saw, and are you excited to get into it?
It's definitely an interesting 6. Quite an eclectic group of people. I think I'm really interested to see how the interplay between these characters play out. I can't quite picture how it might work, particularly on the world team. The Canberra team, a little more, I can see some connections, but I'm really interested to see how the characters and some of the personalities on the world team actually bond and might make connections or alliances, because I'm really struggling to see how that might work, is my preliminary assessment.
Yeah, 100%.
Be interesting, hey.
Yes, I'm very excited. I think there's a lot of potential for this cast. Let's get into it. Let's ignore the world. Stuff the world to start off. We're going to start at home. We got Sabrina from Canberra, the economic analysis, 34 years old. The first thing that really piqued my interest was that she wants to be remembered for creative moves. You hear a lot about, I want to be strategic, or I want to be a challenge feature. I don't hear much about the word creative. That really interested me. And what are your guys' thoughts on that idea of a video?
I actually thought that was a really interesting take on what Sabrina wants to be remembered for. And I think she says not necessarily huge. She says creative, but not necessarily huge. So I think she wants to play a game where the moves actually have an impact towards the end. So I think it's going to be quite an understated, subtle game. It's going to be strategic, but it's not going to be heavy-handed. So I think it could play well. Anyway, that was my initial thought when she said that's what she wanted to be remembered for.
I think you'll see more and more of her come out as the episodes go. So I think she'll sort of like come out of her shell more and more. So we'll see a lot more fun things and a lot more exciting strategic things. So yeah, she's going to be fun to watch, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%. I think something else that she mentioned that I liked is how she was very clear about it's a short period for the game, and surface level connections are really important. And for me, that's something I always say to people is like, people really don't go for it and understand that you've got very limited time to build these connections, and you can't kind of be a passenger. So I think, what do you think that's something that's going to benefit her? Is she going to get straight in, not worry about getting super deep, just get someone that's loyal and as many connections as possible? Or do you think you need to really build deep connections to go far?
I don't think you've got the time to build the connections to go that far. Like, I think it has to be a pretty, you have to play the game pretty quickly. One thing that I did pick up on, I went and watched through all the videos, and she did say something about, in terms of trying to be, she wanted to be remembered for her strategic game, and she said, zigging when I zig and zagging when I zag.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make the connection because I know Loz, in her cast video, talks about zigging and zagging. Now, I've never heard the term zigging and zagging. So if they happen to align, I'm going to call them the zigzag alliance. But I'm just calling it out that there's some common threads in terms of how they see their strategies about, I'm just going to, I guess play it loose and figure out where my connections lie. So I'll be interested to see if that plays out or if I'm completely on the wrong mark on that one.
That might be fun.
Anything else from her in particular? So a few things that I think is that she something I like is that she thinks she will win because people will like her. And I know we mentioned Mal before, and I'm really close friends with Mal, and something that he says all the time that I 1,000% agree with any Survivor game is that when a jury goes to vote, they're not voting for the best player, they're voting for who they like the most and making the reason fit that narrative. And I think her saying that the goal is for people to like me is the best strategy you can do to win the game. Because if you get to the end and everyone likes you, you're in a way better spot to win the game. Do you think it's important for people to like you? Do you think that doesn't really matter? Because obviously there is strategy in a part of it. Jordan, obviously you've been involved in this world for a while. Is making enemies a massive deal in this game, or do you think people can deal with that?
Well, I hate making enemies, but also making friends doesn't help either. So your friends can stab you in the back. So I guess she's just got to be herself. I think she will play a good social game, and I think she'll be trustworthy, and I think people will want to align with her. So it's just how it's all going to play out, whether people then end up getting jealous or worried that she will beat them, so they end up strategically voting her out. You just never know. The bloody game keeps you on your toes. So I can't wait to see what they do with her, or if she actually gets through to the end. So,
and I reckon she'll be underestimated. I know she talks about her being bubbly. I think it could be quite a disarming personality. I don't think she's going to come out of the gate and play hard or anything, but I think she does have strategy in mind. She does talk about playing board games and knowing who to align with. So I think that'll probably play out in her favor. So I think she's a dark horse, is how I'll describe her.
Yeah, 100% agree. So moving on, we got a few to get through now, but we got someone that kind of has a different kind of vibe. I felt like this guy kind of was confusing to me a little bit. From Melbourne, the space scientist student Aiden. My first thought was he mentioned play to win. What's everyone's thoughts on this? Because a lot of LRGs you hear, the first confessional you hear in almost every first episode, you hear it multiple times, is I just don't want to be the first boot, or I just want to make it to merge, or I just want to this. I personally believe you should always play to win, but not get attached to the result. Like your day isn't going to be, your experience won't be bad if you don't win, but you should aim to win. but I understand people act differently and there's different ways to play. Do you think it's important to go into a game like this wanting to win, or does it not really matter that much?
You go, Rithy.
I reckon. I think Aiden's quite self-aware. He does say when he talks about if he were to win, why he would win, and he does say it would be luck. And I like one thing that worries me about Aiden's game. Well, semi-worried, because he does say one of his weaknesses is he will struggle to make connections and connect with people. And ultimately, it's a social game. And we do recognise that, over a 2-day period, you need to make those connections pretty quickly. On the flip side, he's very aware that that's a weakness of his. So he might come out of the gate and try and, I guess, come out of the box and try and be a little bit more, make some of those more connections. But I think he might struggle, and I'm struggling to see who he might make connections or alliances with. There's the other guy, Oscar, who grew up on a cattle farm, but Oscar's from the ACT, so I'm not sure about who Aiden might have immediate connections with in the world group. So if they do go to tribal early, it might be a bit of a struggle, but I'm not sure what you thought, Jordan.
Well, when I first started watching, I sort of found him sort of quite monotone and sort of just one-dimensional. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone else was sort of animated in their videos and he was sort of just there. So that could also work in his favor because there are so many out there people that maybe he might fly under the radar and actually last a bit longer than we expect. And if he's aware of the things, that he said he's aware of, like he'll probably be working on that to help him win his game as well. So, yeah, I think if he was to get far, it's because he's overshadowed by all the big personalities that he's actually going to just slip through easily. So, yeah.
So something else that I wanted to touch on that I liked that he mentioned in the video, which I'm really, a lot of the videos I've seen aren't really about, like obviously the players are there, but there's certain things they've mentioned that really I liked the topics. Something that that said was about the idea of the theme kind of leading to a Canberra play being the ideal winner. It's Canberra versus the world. So in an ideal world, Canberra representing Survivor Canberra can beat the evil world and prove that they're on top. Do you think that's going to do you think that is a factor in this game? Do you think there might be a scenario of if there's Canberra people near the end, the world people might think we got to get rid of them because they're going to be the hero of the story? Like, is that something that people got to consider? Is the theme going to be that important?
Never thought of that. They better not get rid of Canberra people. I tell you what. Otherwise, Dan, cut them from any future help. No, we need them. Keep them.
I think you're right, Marcus. I think the theme will come into play towards the end, but not because it's Canberra versus the world. I reckon it's because of the connections made because of where you're from. So I reckon, and I think we haven't come to Pauline yet, but she does say Canberra does attract a very similar type of person, or she's got people similar to her in Canberra, which is why she likes it. And I reckon the connections between the Canberra people might be just a little bit stronger than those from the other side in terms of from the world, because I think we've got Victorians, we've got New South Wales, we've got someone from New Zealand. I think it's going to be harder to make those connections that might translate into the game. So I'm saying yes and no.
Yeah.
Your question.
You're doing my job for me. Let's move on to the next person. You've already mentioned her. Pauline from Canberra, strategist, 30 years old. Me and Jordan actually have a similar connection to Pauline. Shout out Mal Heath. We mentioned him a few times on this podcast already. I feel like
we need to get him on, I reckon.
But he actually runs his own mini called Malviva, and me and Jordan actually played with Pauline on that one. Mm. And in my opinion, she is dangerous. She is a very good player. She's very, very smart, and she tricked the hell out of me. And she made it very, very far. And I really like Pauline as a person. And when I watched her video and I was like, oh, wow, Pauline's on the season. The video is exactly what I remember her being like when I first met her. How warm and friendly she is. Like when she mentioned the mum friend and leader, that's exactly what I would describe as. As someone that doesn't know her, what was your initial thoughts of Pauline through the video?
Are you talking to me, Marcus? Because I'm actually good
Yes.
friends with Pauline.
Right, sorry. Oh my god, this is
No.
But
But
yes,
I've never.
this is even better that we all know her. So we all know what she's like, right? We all know she is someone not to be messed with, in my opinion. She's a massive threat in this game.
What I found as well, she holds the cards close to her chest. So you think you know enough that she tells you enough that you think you know enough, but really she's kept a lot of information for herself. And I got that just from her interview as well. So it was quite funny because I'm like, that's how I remember playing with her. And she's come across that way on the interview too. She tells you enough that we know enough about her, but she's holding a lot of cards close to her chest. So she's going to come out with some big moves, I think.
Yeah,
it was funny because
100%.
when I first heard that Pauline was going on the show, I said, "Oh," and I think I said this to her, and I said, "Oh, I might mention this tonight," but I said, "You're like the Pia Miranda. You're either going to be first boot or you're going to win, and there's nothing in between." Because she does talk about being intense, and I think that could be off-putting to people. But then looking at the Canberra tribe, I reckon there are some connections in there that she'll probably make quite quickly. There's other board game players. She's got 80 board games. She works in strategy. She loves strategy, and she even says, "I'm into strategy as a person." Like, I don't know, in terms of a tagline for a Survivor player, that probably is it. So I think you're right.
Yeah.
And she does talk about being quite underestimated. She does talk about being short and small. I can understand that. And
like she'll be noticed when she wants to be noticed, and then she'll sort of steer back into the background at the right time. So
yeah, 100% agree, Jordan. And something else that I wrote down is, and I quote, people don't like small women in leadership roles.
yeah.
And I think that's very, very important because it kind of sucks, but it's just natural, is that when a female steps up early on, when you're first meeting them, it's natural that they can go early. And whereas some guys get portrayed as the leader and the guy that we can't vote out, whereas if a girl does it, the same exact thing, they cop. Next thing you know, they're on the pre-merge boots. And I think that's very self-aware, and I think that's going to be so dangerous because she's going to be someone that I think a big dude could go, look, I'm going to take this girl to the end and destroy her. And then as soon as merge hits, all of a sudden he's like, how am I on the jury and she's in final three? That's how that's how I see Pauline. She's someone that is incredibly underestimated, and by the end you're like, how is she in the final six? And next thing you know, it's all puzzles. And next thing you know, she's winning everything. And next thing you know, everyone wants to go with her. And you're like, what have we done? And I think there's a lot of danger in that.
I think you're right, Marcus. I think you talk about her self-awareness. It's really high. But then on the flip side is the perception of how that plays out in a group of people, which is extremely valuable in the game like Survivor. Like, it's not just about how you see yourself, it's about how everyone else sees you. And if she knows both sides of that coin, she can definitely work that to her advantage. So I think probably the biggest thing is towards the end of the game, if she makes it that far, I have no idea if she does, is whether or not people start to clue onto that and go, oh, nope, she's a big threat. I cannot beat her in a final tribal and vote her out. So
100%. Let's keep it rolling. Jordan.
What kind of person researches cues?
Yeah, that was surprising to me. Like, not really surprising when you know Pauline, but man, that was a very deep cut research.
So funny. I'm like, that's so random, but I love it. So
we know. So keep it rolling. Next up is someone that we'll sneak a little bit of an insider info. He actually knows someone that's played. He actually knows someone that's played the previous season. It's John. Did you know that he is the father of Miles' boyfriend? Incredible. Did you know that? How incredible is that?
Do we know his name?
I don't know. He's the guy.
Who? What?
I can't remember him. But that guy.
I'm just
kidding. Challenge beats Nick Otter's father, John, the account manager from Sydney. Shout out Sydney represents. Finally, someone from Sydney. Obviously, I have to mention Nick. he was a challenge beast the whole time. It was almost kind of frustrating how good he was at everything. Do you think that's something that's is in the DNA? Do you see John just winning every challenge and getting to the end, part 2?
Oh, Papa John. I don't know. I reckon that maybe like, what are you laughing at? I love John. I just got like Papa John. I reckon he'd be like the guy that, everyone like warms to and he looks after everyone, but then he also stab him in the back. I don't know. I think could he be a threat and be one of the first out because he is Nick's dad? Do you know what I mean? Like has the apple fallen from the tree and like he's just as good as Nick in all these challenges and stuff like that. Like they could be worried about that and all, plan to get rid of him early on. But at the same time, I think he's not too much like a father figure. That's what I got from his video, that you'd want to keep him around. Like I wouldn't get rid of him. Let him go. Let him go to the end.
All I was going to say was I actually I completely agree with you, John. I found John quite lovable, actually. But I did worry that, I guess, like all, lots of seasons of Survivor, I think John would be the oldest player in this season. So I don't know if that will be a factor in terms of how he's able to connect. I don't think that will be a factor here because he's a national accounts manager. I reckon that's really successful. He's able to read people. He does talk about being able to put on the posh and put on the yobbo, which I think is great. So I think he's able to relate to people and probably make those connections, on an individual basis. So I actually don't think it'll be an issue in this case. But then looking back at the broader tribe that the world tribe is made of, I do wonder who he'd make those connections with. I think probably he is another family person, so there might be other parents that he might connect with, maybe Anthea on the world side. But I do worry that if he doesn't make those connections early, he's going to be booted out early unless they win some early tribals.
I feel like he has the personality to do that, though. I feel like he has a personality, and he seems like youthful as it is. So I reckon he'll be able to connect, with the younger guys and the older, people. I reckon, yeah.
And he's got the genes. He's got the genes.
He does.
I just feel like, for me personally, obviously, yes, people that are really into Survivor, it's just strategy, like the super nerds, will naturally kind of link. But I feel like if I was in the game and I met someone like John, you get a family first type guy. He says he can't see himself being a villain. For me, that's nothing but green flags as someone you want to work with. He seems like someone that's really straightforward. He's very, seems like he's very open book. It'll be, and plus as well, like Nick is his son actually mentioned here. He's seen every season of your Survivor, so it's not like some guy is like, oh, I didn't know what's going on. Like he'll know his stuff, but he kind of can play that. Oh, I'm just here to have fun. And I think I like that they've cast someone like John. It's not someone you see often in these type of seasons. It's often a lot of game body, younger. I like that they add a little bit of character to it, and I really liked his video. It was a massive, like, fresh air. It felt like just hitting the air when you watch the video. So I really am excited for John. Any other thoughts on John before we move on?
I also reckon that like they won't be able to pull the wool over his eyes. I reckon some of the younger guys sort of might try and trick him and stuff, but I reckon he'll be switched on. I reckon he'll play along enough that they think he's been deceived. But yeah, I think he'll know. He'll be very smart and switched on.
I think that's right. Yeah. He will know what makes people tick, and he says that in his video. And he's been around the block a little bit, so he'll know how to read those situations probably a little bit better than maybe some of the younger players, and that'll probably work to his advantage.
Yeah, I definitely think he'll be able to handle the high stress. And someone else that mentioned that is our next person, Amy. From Canberra, journalist, 31. My first thing that I wrote down is seems like a fun person to talk to. But she seems like someone that's like really fun. That I would like, if you met her in like a circle tribe and they were talking, you'd straight to be like, oh, she seems like someone that I'd like to play the game with. And I think that's something that's really underrated is you can be the best strategic person or whatever, but if you're annoying to deal with or someone that isn't fun, the whole point of people like will go to play is to have fun. And if someone's fun, you're going to want to play with them way longer, even if they are a good player. just because of how much fun you're having. And next thing you know, you're at the final six and you're like, oh shit, I probably should have gotten rid of Amy ages ago. But she's so likable that you brought her to the end. Do you think that's something that's important? Is that like what was your general vibe of her? Do you agree with me that she was kind of a fun person?
Yeah, as soon as she started talking, I loved her straight away, and she was the kind of person that I would want to hang with if I was on the season, as you said. And I reckon she'd be so funny and just make me laugh all the time. I just got this fun, friendly vibe. I'm happy-go-lucky, but I also got the sense that maybe she could be used as the first person when no one knows who to vote out. Do you know what I mean? But that would be silly because we need some entertainment, and I reckon she'd be awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I got this feeling that she might be sort of one of those people that they'd vote out first, just to vote someone out. And I don't want that to happen.
And she does talk about how she wants to make sure that the weekend is fun. So, I mean, that's probably front and center of how she might play the game. But she also is very competitive. I think that came out when she talks about her game nights and being very vocal when she's winning. So, and I think she's probably one of the first people, correct me if I'm wrong, who actually says, I'm good at puzzles. Like, we know that puzzles are a great leveler in Survivor challenges. And, it's not all about the physical. Like, sometimes those challenges those puzzles are impossible. So if you have someone that can really nail those, then that could really get you the immunity or the tribal immunity that you might need.
Yeah, I definitely think wanting to have a good time and wanting to step up to the plate is really important. I feel like she's keen to go, she's keen to have a good time. And that's why I kind of could agree with Jordo that she could go first because she steps up to a puzzle, shits the bed, and she's the easy vote. And that would suck because she's someone that I think is a fun person and someone that you probably could maybe see in hindsight of the season and be like, oh, I really wish she had a bit longer to get to know everyone.
She's one of those ones that you want to watch the episode and you're like, God, I can't wait to see what she does next. Like, hope she stays longer because you just want to see what happens next with her. And see more of her, her personality and stuff.
And I do like that she talks about being resilient and mentally strong. Like, this is and I don't know, I've never played anything like this, but it's not a normal situation we put ourselves in every day. And if she's able to cope with the conflicting environment and people talking about you or voting about you or whatever, if she can cope with that, then it's probably going to work in her favor too.
Yeah,
I didn't know how she mentioned how her names were put out into space. And then she just randomly said, in case the Martians need to know about us. I just thought that was so funny. Like, it was just, her brain just going and her personality just coming out. It was quite funny.
Yeah, I definitely think emotionally strong and dealing with high situations is so helpful deep in the game. When you're hungry, when you're tired, when you've slept in the weather, when everything's really bad, and everyone's saying they're voting you out, and you got to stay headstrong and listen to the voices you trust and make the right calls. I mean, that's going to be huge in the game. If she says what she says is true, and she can get to the end, there's going to be people that are huge threats that will crumble under the pressure. Because obviously, when you're in merge, you just want to get to merge, and once you get to merge, it's almost kind of like you just go on with the punches, and then eventually you get to like final 6, final 5, and you're like, oh wow, like I actually got a chance to win this. And that's often when people can kind of freeze up and not play the game to win. And I think she's someone that goes, give me the ball. I'm here to have fun. I'm not gonna sit back and I'm gonna see how it goes. And to be honest, is when Jordan, it's funny that the first thing you said is that because it kind of makes me a bit upset. So I'm like, it would be such a bummer if she went. So I really think she has a lot of potential. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see and see how the episode plays out.
She just thought everything in a positive light. Even the way she was talking, everything was positive. Like, yeah. So hopefully she just keeps that positivity and that gets her through. Positivity. Don't know what just happened then.
Well, so it's a perfect segue. We're moving on to our last person. Jordo's brain is starting to get scrambled. He's got too much strategy in his brain. I'm not smart enough to keep up with these two. And we're going to whack in a man that is very The first thing I wrote is like a storyteller. It's Eden, Sydney, economist, 23. The first thing I wanted to say is I think he's a great storyteller and will give us lots of good confessionals. My favorite quote was, Sydney is a pretty girl who's never had to work on her personality. If anyone's been to Sydney, they know exactly what he's talking about. It's 100% true. We go, oh, we have the Harbour Bridge, that's fine, and we have the Opera House, that's fine, and everything else sucks. So I definitely think he's someone that even when he's backs against the wall, he's going to be funny in his confessionals. He's going to be open and transparent, and I think he's someone that's definitely going to add a lot of intrigue to the season.
He'll probably talk about Taylor Swift a lot, I reckon, because in that interview, God help us, if I counted how many times, it wouldn't be as many as Jay saying but he did mention her quite a lot. In fact, Amy also loves Taylor Swift, so there's a few Taylor Swift fans. Obviously, they'll connect well on the game level. You know,
yeah, well, personally, Love Story is my karaoke song. So if Amy and Adam ever want to pop through to karaoke, you can check me out. There's a few random drunk Instagram posts of me singing it throughout the community. But yeah, I definitely something that I wanted to touch on before we get to you, Rithy, is sticking. Something you said is sticking with uneducated players and taking out big threats, in particular males. I think this is an amazing strategy.
Males,
and it's one of those ones where it's like, if it works, it could be a huge, like it could be a top level game. If you go to the end, taking two uneducated people through, knocks out everyone, and just runs to the end, we could be seeing someone that's competing with Ma, in my opinion. I really like the strategy. What are your thoughts on his strategy going into the game, and whether you think it'll work or not?
What are the odds of it working? I can't, particularly with the evolution of the game, I can't imagine there being many players that have been cast that do not know the game or might be willing to fall under his spell. I do find it quite, well, I find it funny that I think he talks about how charming and endearing he is, but I think during the video I went, I don't trust him at all. I don't think I could play with him at all. So I'd be interested to see how he talks about, endearing people to him as a strength. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Nonetheless, he's going to be chaos and great to watch. Like it's going to be great television.
Well, he said he's controlling and likes to control things, so that's going to cause drama already if he wants things his way. So
yes, 100%. And I think something else he said is flying under the radar is a silly way to play. I 1,000% agree. I think there's so many people that make it to the final three in LRGs. They get to the end and they're asked, "What'd you do?" And a lot of their response is, "I got here." And that's just not enough. With these super fans, you need to be like, "I did this, I did this, I did this." And I also think people really underestimate, like, obviously strategy is important, but flashiness is really important. Someone can have a better strategic game, but if someone's really flashy and gets to the end, you're going to remember that more than the small little things they did in the background. They're going to, especially in those short games. And I definitely could see him making a lot of really nuts plays, kind of throwing shit at the fan and just being like, "I'm going to fuck this whole game up," and just completely blindside someone. I can totally see him maybe being blindsided by that a little bit, like maybe getting to his head a little bit, and maybe being like, "Wow, I'm at the top here. I'm going to keep going." Boom, boom, boom. And next thing you know, he's on the jury. But yeah, I really like what I saw so far, and I think it'll be very entertaining. That's my number one thing.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Who will he align with? Are there immediate players that you think he'd? I mean, he doesn't like the men, so we can rule out 4.
It's interesting because I don't think Aiden, I don't think John. I could see him thinking John doesn't know what he's like. I think he could see John as like this guy is just Nick's dad. He has no idea what he's just been dragged along. I'm gonna take him on his wing. I could definitely see that happening. And if that happens, it'll come back and to bite him. But I could definitely see a scenario where the first episode, if they lose, is someone like Aiden going because of Adam being like, "Nah, on the dudes." and just being like, well, let's get rid of the dudes as quickly as possible. I really hope. I know they're in separate tribes, but I'd love him and Pauline together. That would be fun. I think they would be very fun together. So I don't know about that. We'll
Very
see. It's
sneaky.
obviously. But yeah, what about you guys? Is there any particular people that you instantly connect him with?
No, which is
I'd say he would align with everyone, but he would be sneaky. That's the thing. He would backstab them all. So he'd be going in, and everyone would trust him, and he'd think they've got those alliances, but he's really playing them, and going to the next person and going to the next person. So he'll align with all of them.
Do you think people would trust him? I don't know. I wonder if people will see through him straight away.
Well, if he has his charm and it works on some people, but
yeah.
I'll also say, this is my opinion. Is it's our community is very I think his type of personality and his type of character is very common in the community. There's a lot of guys that I kind of relate to are similar to him, and I think it's very warm, it's very welcoming. A lot of my friends are similar in personality, so I feel like if I was to meet him for the first time, I'd be like, oh yeah, you're like this guy I know, and this girl I know, and this guy I know. So I feel like there's a lot of connections where I could be like, I don't particularly trust you, but I like you, and early on that'll get him far, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's kind of wrap up the overall people. So obviously we have the previous 10 and the 6th year. What's everyone's thoughts on it in general? Is there any particular standouts for you guys that you want to shine a light on?
There is a mixed bag, isn't there? A real mixed bag. And I think some of the more sneaky ones came into these last 6. So you got your Pauline, you got your Eden, and then you got the lovable ones like Amy and John. So yeah, I ended up liking these 6, even though I didn't find them interesting at the beginning. Don't watch it in the middle of the night when you're tired and you have to watch it. I don't have to watch it. I wanted to watch it. I needed some time to actually sit there and think. But yeah, there's some good characters in this. So yes, I can't wait to see them all together and see which ones make the merge and how they all connect with each other from the opposite tribes, Canberra and the world. So.
Yeah, I do see a really strong Canberra connection, but maybe that's because I'm a Canberran as well. I just see myself in a lot of the other Canberran tribes people. So I do see them going far, and I do wonder how, I think I mentioned it earlier, how the world tribe might coalesce and come together. There's quite a few people who consider themselves really good at challenges, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think on the Canberra side, you've got, Ed, the fastest guy,
Just ask him.
But I think you've got some of those strengths on both sides. So I guess at the start of the game, it'll come down to who wins those immunities. But I do find that Canberra tribe probably will connect a little bit better, and that might see them through towards the end.
But a lot of them... Sorry, you go.
Throw a prediction out there. Canberra or the world? If you had to go right now, which tribe is having a W, a crown on their head at the end? Is it a Canberra player or is it a world player? It doesn't have to be who, but just which from the tribe you think has a better chance.
Do you know what? I love Canberra, but I think the world will win. I know.
No.
I'm a traitor, but I'm always wrong. So there we go.
There are so many board games players on the Canberra side. I think they'll take a win, but I reckon we'll definitely at least have a world or 2 world players in the final, but they won't beat up Canberra player.
As long as there's lots of puzzles and strategy, because you notice all of them were strategic and good at puzzles, but where were all the people other than Ed that were physical, that said they were physical? So if there's lots of physical, I think Pauline's the only one that says she runs. Like good luck everyone else.
There was a few.
Yeah,
Sab said she runs.
Go to the gym. But
Lauren ran.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, let's wrap it up with a new segment. I'm putting my money on the table right now. Stuff picking Canberra, stuff Dan and Liv with their political answers. I'm putting my money where my mouth is right now. We've got a new segment that I'm going to call. So basically, it's this new thing I'm going to do every week. where our spotlight players who are excelling in both strategy, social, gameplay. Week by week, we're going to have players rising up and falling down on what we call Ma Mountain. What is
Love
my
it.
mountain, guys? It's a tier system. It's going to be my top 5 players. We're going to have 3, 2, 1. And the idea is that currently the queen, in my opinion, of Canberra Survivor, Ma, is at the top. She's you can't see her. She's really tiny, but she's got that flag on top. And every week we're going to be ranking them Dance Mum style, and we're going to be going through everyone. And these are my first 5. So I'm putting my money. This is my segment. I want you guys to react to who you guys think. I think there will be some disagreements already, but let's get into it.
This is your
With
top
the first
5 to
three.
win? Is this your
This
top
is
5
my
to win?
top 5 as in based off right now. Here's who I think are the best
Okay.
players.
All right. Let's see.
Yep. The top is who I think is the king or queen of the season. Basically, at the end of the season, we'll award someone at the top as it might not even be the winner. It'll just be it's my opinion. I'm going to drop them down. People can argue with me and tell me I'm stupid in the comments. I want to know your opinions. I want to hear you guys as well. Starting off with the first row, I think it's going to be controversial, but I got Andrew, Jay, and Bethany. I'm going to explain all 3. So first off, these are the players that have impressed me for different reasons, but at the same time, I have reservations about. So Andrew first. It's impossible not to have him on here, in my opinion. He's my favorite LRG player of all time. So he was always going to be on here at some scenario. But from my opinion, where the but is if he's recognized, he could be out within a second. Like for me, if I'm on there, I'm telling everyone exactly who he is and what he did and how we're going to get rid of him ASAP. Love you, Andrew. I hope you do really well. That's why you're on this list. We got Bethany, and I just like her vibe. And I don't exactly know why, but she just gives me good energy. I have a curiosity about her, maybe, and this could be a shot in the dark, but I put her on the mountain. Congrats, Bethany, you're on there. And lastly, Jay, 2 words: soul crusher. He's talked a big game. I need him to back it up early if he wants to stay on my mountain, though. He's probably the least. He's probably the closest to falling off. They're at baseline right now. They're walking up. They're not fully on the top of the mountain, but they're close. So that's my first 3. That's my first 3. Then we got the 2. And I feel like you guys will agree with these 2. We got Pauline and we got Squin. So firstly, Squin. She gives me storyteller vibes, and obviously I can't see the strategy, so I'm basically pure with their videos. And I think storytellers are going to naturally attract somebody. I expect to hear a lot of her story early on, and I think she'll be someone instantly that's forming bonds very quickly and just dominating the early portion of the game. That's why she's at the top 3 of the mountain. Yes, it is giving off Dance Mum's Pauline. That's one of the references. Shout out. But Pauline, now we're into Pauline. I've seen her play. This is pure bias. I've seen her play. She's just amazingly smart. And there was one tribal council we did where my mouth was literally on the floor. I was just completely gobsmacked. So if she can bring any form of that in, she's going to be unstoppable. If Future Me was to pop in right now and be like, Pauline won, I would not be surprised in the slightest. Literally no surprise. I wouldn't be like, oh, wow, crazy. That's really weird. I'd be like, no, I can not watch the season now. Thanks for spoiling it for me. But in saying that, there's only ever one person that I ever considered for the top spot. Literally, as soon as this person was announced on the cast, I didn't have to even watch their video, and I knew they would be on the number 1. Someone to me who already screams all-stars if Dan is listening. Someone who wants to make big moves. Someone who has the personality I've seen dominate so many LRGs in the past. At the top of my mountain for the first episode. Drumroll, please. We got Adam. I'm calling it. There it is. It's just too good. I think he's going to be amazing. I think he's going to dominate. I think he's going to be great. And this could be a massive call. He could go early. But I put my life on 9 times out of 10. He's in that final 5. And if he can get there, it's over for whoever's there. I just think he's going to be huge. I think that's my 5. That's my list. I want everyone to comment their thoughts on this. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I stupid? Tell me, yell at me, whatever. It's my list. I do what I want. Stuff, you guys. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Am I sort of in the ballpark? What are your guys' thoughts?
I just wish you'd know how to count, Marcus. That's all I wish. The top
Counts.
5, 6 people there.
What do you mean? No, it's
Oh,
five.
sorry, Dean's gone 6 pyramid. I don't know why I said 5. I'm so in the moment right now. I'm putting my balls on the laptop right now. I'm committing to this. If you respect that, Jordan, not my mathematical skills. I don't have a high ATAR. I'm not prepared for that. It's the confidence in me that this. I'm predicting the final 6. This is the final 6. You're gonna be thinking I'm a fortune teller in the future. Everyone's gonna think I knew the game ahead of time. All these people that were clearly there are like, oh wow, was Marcus there all along? Was he hiding in the bushes at final try?
You had me hook, line, and sinker when you said 5. I'm like, no, it's 5. It's definitely 5.
see, I'm not the only one. What are our thoughts? What are our thoughts on it?
I would probably agree with half of those. I think there are some strong players. I do wonder if Eden's gonna.
Thank you, Derek.
He'll burn bridges too quickly.
Thank you, Derek. Love you, Derek.
We love you, Derek.
Eden, is that the top? Yes, you are. Big shoes to fill, my man. I believe in you. You're my winner's pick.
But
And last this is my top 5. Also, Marcus, show 6 players.
I think Squin and Andrew are definitely good additions. And they definitely impressed me from the first set of cast videos. So,
also, just a heads up to any of the people on my mountain, bribes are added to the consideration for keeping you on the mountain. If someone whacks me a lot of money, you can get voted out and you'll still stay on the mountain. I will happily sell my soul for the Backbenchers podcast. I love the reasoning. 4 World Tribe members clearly is not from Canberra. Wow. Well, it's not about that. It's just purely about them. I don't even really care about where they're from. Jelly. I don't like people disagreeing with me. Now anyone that disagrees with me, you're now my enemy. And I'm right, and you're all going to be wrong. No. Sorry, guys. Sorry to anyone that's watching this. I've just spoiled the whole season for you. I shouldn't have probably done this. This is a terrible idea.
As you were saying, Marcus, that's your 6. But don't forget, there's the top 5 comp as well. So you can pick your own top 5 and submit it by Wednesday, 5 p.m. If you disagree with Marcus, I think put your own
put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly.
Put your money where your mouth is. I'll be submitting mine. If I was to make it a 5, I would cut Jay. Jay would be cut. Jay is like clinging onto the mountain like this. He's just there. The Soul Crusher comment got me intrigued. But I could definitely see him being off early. But let's just say I've got to be wowed in that first episode for a lot of these to swap. I could see a lot of these guys staying on for a while. But then I'm gonna be harsh as well. If someone's barely in the episode, you're out. You're off the mountain. There's no. Oh, I think they're doing it right. You're off if you got to show me entertainment, or you're off the mountain. And I'll put Jordo on at the top, and he'll continue playing with us when not playing.
I like it on top.
But anyway, that's a good end. We'll have a few more seconds. Anyone has any segment ideas? Jordo's count from last week. Mountain from this week. Rithy will have something at some point in the future. I'm excited to see it. We're all super excited. Dan is clearly not listening to me, as always.
I'm going to bring the
Jelly also says
to see Jay play. So I want to.
Yes, we're looking forward to that. I think the next episode is Sam will be hosting this. I'm not sure who else is on. We'll figure that out as we go. I might pop in for 5 minutes for my little Mum Mountain segment. But I'm super excited. Thank you so much, guys, for hopping on board. If anyone, please share Canberra Survivor. Get the talk going. Get the buzz going. We're so close to the season coming around the corner. The more eyes we can get in it, the better. Dan and Liv have done so much good work, and there's so many good people in this community. So the more we can share it around, the better. Please comment on this with who you think is going to win. The top 5, of course. And anything else, guys, you want to say before we wrap this up?
Nah, I got my popcorn ready. I can't wait. It's going to be so good.
Bring on the first episode. It's dropping on Friday.
Yep, this Friday.
I think so. Yeah, it's exciting. I think they had the premiere. I think the casting crew had one. So So yeah, it's already out. It's ready to go, and I'm just as nervous as Dan Liv. I'm super excited to see how it all folds out, and I hope everyone's checking in. And yeah, thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Backbenchers podcast. Like, follow, comment, share. Check out Jordo on Instagram. Check out Rithy on Instagram or whatever they are. And I'll see you guys soon. Don't check out me. You don't need to see me. But anyway, catch you later, guys.
See you guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.